that day, folks. It's the day we all been waiting for. It is David Sanders Jr. Decision Day. The House of Orange is live, coming at you. Frank Rock is in the house, waiting on Kerry Williams. If you were on here last Monday, he joined me. He's working on getting in right now. He's getting a couple things straightened out. He's able to join us. Didn't think he was going to be able to. He messaged me last night, said, "Hey man, I'm in." So hopefully he'll be joining here about any minute now. Trying to get some things working for him, but today's a big day. It'll be about an hour from now on the 24/7 YouTube channel. I'll pull it up on here, share the screen. We'll take a look at that as this is the big day. And we've been waiting for it. We've been talking about it for weeks. You know, going back to his visits, I think Tennessee has felt good about this commitment. Is today the culmination of Tennessee rocking and rolling with recruiting, with their offensive line, with all aspects of the equation? We'll find out in about an hour, it seems like. But, before we get any further, make sure the thumbs up. Biggest thing you can do to help me out, share this thing out, share it out there. And, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button as well. Lots of content coming. Of course, we're in football mode right now. Basketball's not far around the corner. Leading up to baseball, Lady Vols basketball, Lady Vols softball around the corner. We'll cover a little bit of all that moving forward. It's an everything school. It's an everything channel. That's where we're rocking and rolling at. But this was a big one. This is the first live football that we've done as far as like an announcement on this channel. Yeah, I've done some live post games for basketball and baseball, obviously, but nothing football. And I still don't know that my game is going to be the live post game for football. But, I'm not ruling it out either. I mean, there's nothing says that I can't do it. It's just I don't know that I will. But, we'll kind of see where things go. But this one, to me, was really too big not to put on the channel. I mean, if you're going to cover it all, this is the biggest announcement probably this year. I mean, the George McIntyre was a big one. Faison Brandon last Saturday, or a couple Saturdays ago, I guess it was a pretty big one. But this one, I think, is the big announcement of this season with David Sanders Jr. and how he fits into the equation here as well. We got a pretty good little audience in here right now. Hopefully this thing will build up here as well. David Burgess was in here a couple hours ago. He said it's going to be a great day on Rocky Top today. Eric Jones, he says, "What's up, Indy? I'm excited about today when David Sanders commits to the Vols. I'm confident he's all Vol. Have a great day, Indy, and go Big Orange Vols." Moonshine says, "What number will Sanders wear next year?" I know his photos, he's been 77. It remains to be seen. Normally your tackles are somewhere in the 70s, but Chatsworth said, Moonshine, he'll be so good they might even have to give him a number below 0. Man, that'd be interesting. Maybe they give him negative 77. I mean, who knows on that one? I know I saw Sanders' team last night start out, 55-6 that they won last night. So that was a pretty good start to the season for them. Of course, he plays for Providence Day School in Charlotte. And, if Tennessee can get a foot in here, there's more. There's more over there. Leo Delaney for next year. If I'm not mistaken, Kendra Harrison, top tight end for next year, and especially the way Tennessee's building tight ends right now. If you can get in the door of a powerhouse like that, continue to build it along the way, it's going to be big. It's going to be big for that program. Man, cannot stress just, how big that could be if they get in and get kind of that, I guess you could say a pipeline in there. I had somebody message me the other night on Instagram, was like, these last few coaches didn't hit North Carolina and Virginia hard. This one is. Back in Tennessee's heyday, they recruited North Carolina and Virginia well. I mean, they recruited Georgia well also. But, they kind of had to back then because the state of Tennessee did not have the talent that it has now on it. Let's see what else we got here. Moonshine said, "Sounds good, bro." Carlos Negros is in here, says, "Let's go Vols." Tennessee Vols Recruits 101 says, "Mark my words, he's committing to Rocky Top 100% the whole time." Robert Duncan is in here. He says, "Let's go Vols." D Hurt 8955. I'm sure the other colleges involved are offering big NIL until the last minute to Sanders. Here's my thing. It's a good post. Lots of good stuff in here right now. To me, I think it's pretty natural if you get this kind of recruit. NIL has to play into the equation. I really think it has to, but you've got to be able to sell everything else along the way as well. You've got to have a coaching staff who can sell their vision. You got to have. I mean, I think fan support matters. Is there a better fan base in college sports in Tennessee? I mean, I know there's a lot of good ones. Don't get me wrong, but we're all going to be obviously biased on this one. Especially with all the years of just garbage that we had as well. Look here, looky here. Who we got? There he is. He's in the house.
Sorry, man. The computer, my camera wouldn't work whatsoever.
I still bet you broke it.
I think I did. I had to restart it, and it took like 10 minutes to restart it. It just like 1%, 2%, 3%. It took like 10 minutes to get it up. So thankfully, I don't know what happened to the camera, but it was working.
Hey, well, it was. I know back 10 years ago when you had a school picture taken, they shut down the pictures for the day because you broke the camera. So
yeah.
So we're probably reminiscing on that a little bit now. But good to have you in here, man. Glad you're able to make it.
Yeah.
Just talking a little, there's a little bit of an announcement coming up, as you know, here in a few minutes.
Just a small one.
Talking a little David Sanders Jr. I guess, did you see the results of their game last night?
I did not. I have not looked at that, no.
Charlotte Independence Day, 55-6. I think it was they won. So they come out of the gates. Apparently he plays both ways on there as well. Yeah, I didn't realize. Obviously, we knew offensive line, but I didn't realize he was playing defense as well. I mean,
D tackle or D end?
It does not. I just saw it says he's a two-way player for them on it. So I don't know. That's a good question because, if you look at some of the video, I want to pull some video up on him. As a matter of fact, here's we're waiting just to let's see. I don't need my channel up right now, but we'll kind of look at here in a little bit. But I was talking about it a little bit before you come on. I mean, if you establish a pipeline into this school, how big is that for Tennessee moving forward? If you can get your foot in this powerhouse program with the talent that's coming in 26, it's going to be coming beyond that. How big is that for Tennessee?
It's huge. I mean, you're setting up a future. You sell coaches in the past, they kind of disregarded that and they didn't focus on the offensive line. And now we have a coaching staff that actually prioritizes the offensive line because they know that we're getting these top tier quarterbacks and we actually have to have somebody to block for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was I was talking earlier about, now obviously this was before your time a little bit, but I'm sure you're probably well versed in it. Back in the heyday, back late 90s, early 2000s, you didn't have the talent that you had now in the state of Tennessee. So Tennessee had to branch out. They were going to Georgia when Rodney Garner was here the first time. They were big in that territory. They could go to South Carolina because Clemson was down then. South Carolina, I mean, they were worse then than they are now. I mean, you had Virginia Tech doing good things at Virginia, but the strange thing to me with Beamer, and I've never felt like Beamer and that staff recruited well. They would get guys, obviously, along the way. I mean, your Michael Vick, your Marcus Vick, your Kendall Fullers, some of those guys. But overall, I always thought Virginia was ripe for the picking. North Carolina was big, though. Tennessee used to go into North Carolina and get the big recruits. Now it's starting to happen again, and you're starting to see this program amp back up. I mean, just with who they pulled in with, I think we're all expecting good news here in a little less than an hour. Next year, you've already got the number one player out of North Carolina. I mean, they could go into Alabama. This is the key to it. I mean, the last three coaches, I think they were more content with getting your 3-star out of Florida and your 3-star out of Georgia, that they were battling teams like Vanderbilt and some of these mid-tier teams. Where this team's going against the big boys. That's what you got to do to win.
Yeah.
got some. We got a pretty good little audience. 115 people in here, man. I was
Very
banking
nice.
on this one. I had this day planned out perfect. I was going to get up, go to the gym. I was going to come back. We were going to do the live stream, and then I was going to head up the mountain and go throw some disc golf today. Well, there's a little virus that goes around that unfortunately hits schools around the first of the year.
Mhm.
It starts with the C and ends with the D. And well, guess who took a test last night and had 2 bright
Wow.
stripes on it. So
That's not very good.
I had it 2 years ago. It was worse. But still, it kind of messed up the day. But got one here. I get these, and it's recruiting. You never know what could happen on this. I went back to this comment right here. I was talking about D Hurt 8955. He's a good listener. I listened a lot, comments a lot. I'm sure the other colleges involved were offering big NIL till last minute. Now, I talked a little bit about this when you were signing on. Do you think NIL means everything? Is that the be all end all of these guys?
Yeah, I mean that's their contract. That's how they're making money. These guys have always wanted to make some money off of their name, and now they finally have the chance to do so. And they want to go to schools that offer them the best deals, the best money, the best promotions, so that they can set themselves up for the future. Because some of these guys, they're going to get great NIL deals in college, and they won't make it to the NFL, so they won't really have that lifelong money. They won't be able to set up a future for their family, and getting the NIL deal in college, that gives them the chance to do that.
Do you think they always take the best offer?
No, I don't think so. If Colorado offer you 800 grand and Colorado State offer you 500 grand, I'm going to go to Colorado State personally.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
I don't want to deal with the culture. There's just some schools you're going to try to avoid with everything you got.
So based on how you're going there, we know NIL is going to be big. We know all the schools involved here. The Final Four are Tennessee, Ohio State, Nebraska, Georgia. I really think Georgia's not been a factor in a while for that recruitment. I think Rule is trying to get Nebraska rebuilt. I mean, the Scott Frost reminds me a lot of the Dave Serrano hire at Tennessee. When you looked at it, it looked perfect. And it just didn't work out for whatever reason. Rule, he's got the quarterback last year. I think they're trying to get some money going around. He's trying to get that program back relevant again. But I think it says a lot about Tennessee and just their culture. You mentioned, who in their right mind wants to go to Colorado right now? Yeah. I mean, I can't see it based on everything they're doing. Deion's, I don't know, man. I really don't have anything against Deion, to be honest with you, but he's not going to last long. And I think he's better than this because he did some good things at Jackson State. I mean, I really feel like he earned getting a D1 job.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's like I saw the Raiders, the mock draft has him taking his boy. I don't want any part of him. I don't want any part of him next year. I mean, I just don't. I mean, if he's going to come in big-headed and they're going to have the chip on their shoulder, forget it, man. Just trade for Joe Milton for all I care at that point. But now I get this, and this goes back to, you mentioned Colorado. So Bender of strengths, I'm hopeful but guarded. We're not cut check you for nothing. It was Jordan Seaton last year up to the last second. Everybody thought it was Tennessee, and then I think he was the example that he took the highest offer.
He did. Yeah.
I really do on that one. Let's see what else we got here. Tim Dewberry, what's up, man? Says, go Big Orange. Tennessee Vols Recruits 101. I was kind of reading off yours a minute ago and wanted to come back to it. Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Alabama. Yeah, Tennessee recruited those. And a lot of you may remember it too. Tennessee would pull those. They would pull some pretty good guys out of California, out of the West Coast too. I mean, look, Casey Clausen, for example. I mean, there's guys along the way. I'm trying to Ontario Smith, even though he got kicked out at some point, but he was a pretty good running back. Gosh, who am I forgetting? There's been some good California players on there as well. Let's see. We'll get right off pace here. D Hurt says, how great's Christian Moore doing? Yeah. Did you see where Tony V was down in Chattanooga throughout the first pitch?
Yeah, that was really nice. And Frank Anderson made the trip too, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. From what I was told some of the guys are going to start working with Frank. I think tomorrow they're
That'll be
getting ready to
nice.
start working with him. So I don't know if that's your returners or if that's your freshmen, but
Yeah,
I had a pretty good little source there run across on that one, said that definitely some of the freshmen are starting the
that's
18th.
great. That's great.
Bender of strings. This is a pretty good point. People forget Tennessee borders 8 states. It's a unique recruiting advantage a lot of states don't have. Yeah, it is, and it's being as big as it is too. I mean, as much as it stretches out. I mean, that's kind of the bad thing about Nashville is how many schools is it's closer to in Alabama and Auburn closer to Nashville than Tennessee is.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that Alabama's definitely closer to Nashville than we are.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got that distance. I think Tennessee's a weird state to recruit, honestly, because
It
you've got a
is.
lot of people who have moved to Tennessee. So North Carolina is the one, man. I think North Carolina's right for the picking because North Carolina, they're okay, but they're not upper echelon. I mean, North Carolina State, same thing. Duke, I mean, Duke is kind of established. They can put some pretty good teams on the field, but they're Elko got poached by A&M. Of course, Cutcliffe, you got to give Cutcliffe credit. He built that program up pretty well.
Yeah, he did.
But I think it was time for him to go also. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here's a couple going back that were good ones I'll bring up here in a minute. So that's why lack of strong in-state doesn't bother me. I mean, Tennessee, I think Tennessee – do you think Tennessee cherry picks in-state? You think
Yeah, I
they're
think they
able to
do.
get who they get or you think it's still a little bit of time before that?
It's still a little bit of time before that. You still see a lot of in-state guys like towards West or towards Nashville that kind of still choose to go to different schools because we haven't like fully claimed the entire state yet, which we probably will do in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I think the progression's the big one right there. Continue to do what you're doing. I mean, you've got to, I still say last year was a strange year, and it was
Yeah,
one that I think there were a lot of questions. But if last year was that, I've said it before. If 9-4 is a bad year, there was a point in time we were wishing for 9-4 each year. So I want to pull up the state rankings while we're talking about it. Actually, I want to look at Tennessee. I want to look at North Carolina a little bit too. So I'm looking at on 3 right now. I think this proves your point a little bit here. Let me present right here. All right, so here we go. George McIntyre, Tennessee has him. There's Ethan Utley, Radarius Jackson. There's your top 3 guys in the state. Nick Moore, number 4. So I mean that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That this is this is the on 3 industry. I really I don't know. These median rankings they're fine, but I guess so on 3 industry, McIntyre, Utley, Jackson, Moore. There's your top 4. They're in it. Jamarian Moore. I don't remember Tennessee being much involved there. I'm not gonna say they weren't committed to Missouri. There's Cameron Sparks. There's the elephant, and people still talking about Cameron Sparks. You know much about this recruitment?
not too much, no.
I don't either. It's something along the way has. I don't know if the ranking has not lived up to it or what's happened, but right here they've got him 95% predicted going to Mississippi State. I mean, Jalen Morgan to Georgia. I know people had asked on some of the boards about that. I don't know. I don't know that Tennessee went that hard after him. They have gone after Mills Knight, but I don't think it's going to come out good here. I'm not sure on Gooden. That's a Carson Lawrence. I don't remember hearing his name. Donovan Starr was one I think Tennessee did want. Went to Auburn. Jim Coyley. I mean, I know he just announced for LSU. I'm not aware that Tennessee was in on that one. Shivers. That's more, 6'4.5", 380. That's really not a Rodney Garner type
No, that's
lineman.
definitely not.
I know they're trying with Dwayne Morris, right here, but you got to get him on campus first. Here's Joakim Dotson. So, I mean, I think, they're pretty good in that regard. Now I wanted to look over here at North Carolina and see just exactly, because I think you're going to see, I've not studied the North Carolina, I think you're going to see a spread out. This one right here is going to be saying have a Tennessee right beside of it here before too long, in about 43 minutes, as a matter of fact. Here's Clemson, possible North Carolina State, Notre Dame, North Carolina, Ohio State, Wolfpack, VT, South Carolina. I mean, as you can see, there's Charles House committed to Tennessee. There's another South Carolina. I mean, you got to factor Columbia is an hour from Charlotte. So, frankly, South Carolina should do better than what they are. I mean, this is the thing about North Carolina. Nobody has a foothold here.
No, nobody does.
I mean, North Carolina doesn't. North Carolina State doesn't. I mean, South Carolina is an hour away. South Carolina really, I mean, they just don't, they are what they are. I mean, I fully expect South Carolina may be coach hunting after this year. But
I think they will too.
We'll see. This is one I want to get to. Carl Pickens out of North Carolina. That was a big one. The two-way guy, Heath Schuler. To me, if I sat down and ranked Tennessee quarterbacks in my lifetime, it's Peyton Manning 1, Heath Schuler 2. I would go down the blaze of glory on that hill. Heath Schuler was freaking awesome when he's here. The bad thing with Heath Schuler was he went to the NFL and was a bust. That's what he unfortunately gets looked back on. The 2 years he was a starter at Tennessee, he was a stud. He was an absolute stud. I don't know that Peyton Manning had, this is a crazy statement, as far as an overall athlete and ability, I don't know that Manning had Schuler's ability. Schuler could run. Schuler had an arm. Now, obviously, I'm not saying he's better than Manning, but as far as physical tools, I don't know if there's been a better one than Schuler. Let me go through some more of these here. Ben Joyce with the save against the Braves last night. So, he had his orange and white checkers on as well. So, it was pretty cool. Ben Joyce is rocking and rolling. Hopefully, he'll have another Tennessee alum up there with him before too long.
Hopefully.
Man, we got 211 people in here right now. This is killer. We're pushing. I like to hit 250. That Florida State-Tennessee baseball game, we were up close to 250 that night. That was a pretty good one. It was a pretty emotional one that night. That was one I think my voice was about half cracked after it was over, because it was like you go from, I knew it was too good to be true we would get here, and then all of a sudden, no, it wasn't too good to be true either. Is Rocky Top Rowdy still a thing?
Yeah, that's actually how we do our tickets now, unfortunately.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Rocky Top Rowdy says, go Big R. Love the show, Frank. Keep doing big things. I'm confident in Landon Sanders today. Let's see. He's got some pretty good stuff here. Boo Carter was a student at the school he teaches at. Great kid, amazing talent. We landed. Huge impact this year. I'm trying to think how to word this one here. Boo Carter's obviously in the mix. Christian Harrison is in the mix for that star position. Well, I guess without sharing my thoughts too much, what's your assessment of that, how they've been running it? Because it seems like Harrison's been getting in over Carter to begin with. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think you've kind of noticed over the years with how Heupel and Danks run their defense is they kind of choose the veteran guys first, and the younger guys have to kind of prove it. I think Harrison will of course start the season, and then possibly Boo Carter. He'll get a lot of reps, of course, because they do change a lot in the secondary, and hopefully he makes a play or two and can jump up into that starting role. I think it's just, you've seen in the past that they choose the veteran guys, so I think they're just going to go the veteran route, put Harrison in because that's the safest bet for them.
Could it be a case too? I'll kind of play devil's advocate. I agree with you on it. I do agree. Could it be a case we're maybe underlooking this and maybe Harrison's made that much improvement?
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you see a lot of guys in this system, they take a big step in their second or third year out of the secondary. You've seen it in the past with other guys, and I think Harrison may be another one of those guys.
I know I'd heard in bowl practice. Let me hit this comment here. 115, Jake. That's what they're leading up to. 115. Let me pull up because they've got it set for. It's. I'll pull it up on here once he gets close to it. I pulled the link up and it's still just the countdown right now. I don't know why they had said 12:30 on it initially because I saw the same thing as you, and then I saw
Yeah.
115. So it's like
It's just weird.
yeah, I agree with you on it. My hope is that Harrison has made that much improvement on it, but I mean, knowing what we've seen up to this point, I think your point's pretty good that they like to play their veterans. Is it concerning to you that it looks like a walk on is going to start at safety?
Not really. I mean, he's been a part of the program long enough. He's got the size. He played pretty good, in my opinion, against Georgia last year. If he's taken the steps that he's needed to take, I mean, you saw a guy like Jalen McCullough, who probably wasn't an SEC caliber safety, but he got coached enough that he actually was an SEC caliber safety. So hopefully, Will Brooks will he'll play a huge factor from a leadership role. He's not going to jump off the charts defensive wise, but he's going to be a good team guy that kind of goes under the radar, and you don't really talk about him much just simply because he's getting the job done.
I'm still holding out on it. I mean, I got to see it first before I'm not going to throw off on it without seeing him. I mean, we've seen, like you said, McCullough. I mean, look at the jump he made last year. He made a big jump last year, but Wesley Walker, I saw him shooting his mouth off something about Michigan was more, structured or something. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be playing for his third team, but has been at 4 schools. Didn't he? Wasn't he one of them went to Louisville also and left? So I mean, some of these guys that played last year, the only 2 that were regular players last year that I would have, if they would have came back this year, obviously they could not, would have been Jalen McCullough and Kamal Haddon. Those 2 guys balled out last year. The rest of them that left, I mean, I'm sorry. I know they gave their all for Tennessee, and I appreciate that and all, but, at the same time, something had to change in that secondary. Yeah. And, I think even if this secondary struggles, I don't know that I'm going to look back and say, man, I wish them guys were still here or anything. They didn't do anything. I mean, in the bowl game, I know Iowa is not the measuring stick as far as offenses go, but still, those guys, they made plays. I mean,
yeah, they did.
We hear about in the scrimmages. They're making plays in these scrimmages now. So I don't think – I think it's easy to underestimate how much a top-notch defensive line can mean for a secondary.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you look at everybody's coming back this year. There are teams around the country wish they had half of the depth that Tennessee has on the defensive line. Not the full depth, half of it. There's Tennessee teams in the past that we wish had half of the depth. Yeah. I mean, they say there's 19 guys on scholarship on the defensive line. There's Tennessee teams in the past that, I don't know, that they could put 9 defensive linemen on the field, I think that defensive line is going to be the big one on it. We're at 1240. We hit 250. We're at 250.
Let's go.
Let's roll. Let's go. Hit that thumbs up if you're new in here. If you've never been a part of the channel before, Mr. Williams here is his second day coming on. Of course, we've known each other for years now.
Yep.
He'll be back on. You'll be back on Monday night, right?
Yes, sir.
Say you're good Monday.
Yep.
So we'll talk. He's already put it out. We're going to talk depth chart Monday night. We've already got that.
Very excited.
I'm not sure when they announced that depth chart. Normally it's the week of the game, but already.
It's kind of the week of the game. They kind of give it to the media members and they leak it out. So pretty much the week of the game.
How many oars do you think will be on the depth chart?
On the defense, possibly every position except the linebackers and James Pierce Jr. Offense, it's every wide receiver pretty much because they're going to work in guys there. Running back, no. Quarterback, of course not. So, and then tight end, you're going to have 3 guys at tight end, 3 oars or 2 oars. So,
Yeah. I'll just go hope you said 2 because, this is bad the other night. This, me taught math, and I knew this going in. I started double checking myself, talking about the pilot deal, 20 million per year. Well, if you average out 100 players, I knew going in it's 200,000 per player. And I sat here double checking myself. I was like, I don't want to look bad. I left a freaking 0 out twice and come up with 20,000. I went on, did my video. I was like 20,000, and I was like, and then somebody's like, it's 200, and I was like, I just wanted to delete the whole video, but it already had some pretty good views on it. So I just had to type a message with the correction. It's like, God, come on, man. But
you're my math teacher too, so that's disappointing.
Yeah. Hey, I was awful back then. That was my first year. I was terrible back then. So the fact that any of y'all actually like me or anything is because I was just learning I was just trying to survive back then. But, V2 Sports Network.
Yeah, that was my old crew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, back when I was before I transferred down to UT.
Oh, okay. Elizabeth and guys, or
no, actually not. Scattered across. We had an Knoxville guy, the main guy, city down in Georgia, Macon, Georgia. Yeah, he lives down in Macon, Georgia. We met through Instagram. So
I remembered you messaging me a few years
yeah,
ago
it was about
it.
that.
Said y'all were doing something. And
yeah.
Now, were y'all like Tennessee channel, or did you do a little bit of everything?
We started out as a Tennessee channel, and then we kind of branched out to the V2 Sports Network.
That's kind of like I'll keep my Tennessee channel, but I really want to branch out into a baseball only. Majors, college, a little bit of all that, but I don't know. I don't know that I have the time for that and to teach as well. If you've never, I think Backwoods come on the other night. I can't remember if he did or not, but if you all have not checked this dude out, cool channel. They do a lot of stuff, out. Backwoods, Tennessee. What's up, man? Good to see you in here in Atlanta. Another big fish day. Feels good to be in the mix on the best players in the country again. Absolutely. Cannot agree more on that one. There's V2 Sports Network. Again, just found Carrie here. Harmon, JC Vol, loving the content, guys. Keep it rolling. Let's see here. Carrie's Corner. There you go. Is that one of your old segments?
That was it was a baseball segment, just really? College baseball. It was just me, just roughing it out for like 30 minutes, just talking college baseball. It was awesome.
Nice. Blunt Vegas. You know where Blunt Vegas is, don't you?
Yep.
Good old Bluntville.
Good old Bluntville.
Good old Frank's old stomping grounds. Go Big Orange, Hypel, Vitello 2024. The Sanders commit will be huge for Tennessee's line and, of course, Nico. I've said this numerous times. Good post, Blunt Vegas. I've said this numerous times. I think it's underestimated. That last weekend, David Sanders was in town. David Sanders Jr. was in town. He went to Nebraska, flew back to Charlotte, drove to Knoxville. 4 stud quarterbacks who's going to be playing behind him were on campus recruiting him. Because I think we knew Faison Brandon was probably in the fold at that point. You had, of course, Nico. I mean, a lot of these guys talk about Nico being an awesome recruiter, really putting it in. Some of these linemen who've committed. Of course, Merklinger is on campus. I still think people are sleeping on him. George McIntyre made the trip again. Faison Brandon was there. I know they talk about, well, McIntyre is the main one recruiting him. You can't sit here and tell me the other 3 guys weren't. Hey, I want you up here blocking for me as well. I don't think any other program. I know Raiola. I think, is that how you pronounce his name at Nebraska?
I think
Dylan
so.
Raiola.
I'm not the greatest at pronouncing names.
Yeah, I try to take pride in it, but I don't listen to other. I mean, I hope I'm not wrong on that. If I am, I apologize if I offend anybody on it. But you've got him. He was a 5-star coming in, but you've got basically Nico's a 5. I guess McIntyre's pretty much a 4 now. Brandon's a 5. Merklinger a 4. I just think that's huge. I think it's big. I don't think it can be underestimated. You got 4 elite quarterbacks saying, "Man, I
Yep.
want you to come block for me."
Yep. That's you can't speak enough about that.
No, I mean, we talked about NIL. NIL is going to be a factor with any big time recruit. It's the nature of the beast. It is what it is. It's going to come into play. But this team and their culture, what they did in June and July, those visits, I feel like they nailed them. I feel like they nailed those visits. That's
Yep.
why you're seeing so many. I know you're seeing Conan Banny, the corner out of Columbia. He's committing. It's sometime here in the next couple of weeks as well. I think Tennessee stands a real good chance of getting him. I mean, this is going to be a pretty good recruiting class.
Yep.
And the fact that, yeah, who knows, once you get to fall, you may hear some guys taking visits, but I haven't yet. And hopefully Sanders is another one. He shuts it down, and his only visits are to Knoxville for the fall. What I got a couple pretty good questions here, but when Sanders commits here in 27 minutes, by the way, and we'll have this up for you. Let me check to make sure doesn't look like anything's going on yet on the 24/7 channel. They got a 26-minute, 38-second timer on it. When he gets, we might have talked about this the other night. Is he a day one starter?
Yes, absolutely. You're losing so many guys, and just his talent. He's a day one starter for sure.
I think so too. I know that obviously Hurd coming back. If Hurd does his job this year, he's going to start again next year. He's the only returner though.
Yeah.
I mean, they need a center, they need a left guard, a right tackle. I think so too. I think it sets up perfectly, and part of me wonders too. I don't know Nebraska's line situation. I don't know Ohio State's. I mean, I know Ohio State's been stacking classes for years now. So you got to think they have some pretty strong classes already up there. But from what I've seen, they've missed on some guys this cycle, and my heart just breaks for them too.
Yep, mine too.
Yeah. I probably. I brought a box of tissues in here just in case. I think it was specifically for that moment for Ohio State. But yeah, I wanted to look at, let me share here a minute. We'll talk roster. We'll talk a little bit more of him. I got the old UT Sports up here. So let's look at the offensive line here right now. All right, so if we go on down, so here we go. We looked at offensive line. Here's what we know coming back next year. Satterwhite's a freshman out of Ohio. I think he's going to be more of an interior guy. The guy should have a bright future. Here's Hurd. He's going to be your left tackle this year. Vyson Lang is a guy I think they're trying to get him up there to be the backup center.
Yeah.
Here's Masai Reddick. I hadn't heard much about him. Again, Hurd, that's one that I know the VolQuest guy really high on. Hurd. Of course, Cooper Mays graduated. Aiden Bussell, here's another guy. That size tells me more of a tackle. Trevor Duncan's back. There's Dane Davis. He'll be gone after this year. I mean, Bennett Warren was a good pickup last year. That was probably their top guy. I don't know Gus Hill. He's a walk-on. Carrick, this dude will be a senior. Max Anderson's another interior type guy. Jesse Perry. Brian Grant's another guy I've not heard much about this year. Of course, you're going to lose Campbell. You're going to lose Lampley, Spraggins. Larry Johnson's a guy they've talked pretty positive about. He's made some improvements. Ginther, I know they were pretty excited about getting him out of Colorado. Sham, I'm curious to see what comes off with Sham. He had some pretty good potential coming in. So, I mean, the bottom line, though, in looking at that, though, when you look at that, looking for next year, what's your assessment on that?
You see a lot of guys that are essentially depth pieces that you're hoping to keep on the roster for next year, but not all those guys are going to really be competing for a starting spot. Maybe Sham could move into a starting spot. Maybe another guy could. Anderson, I think Anderson will compete for a starting spot. Other than that, I'm not really sure if you have anybody else. And I mean, I don't want to just throw out those two guys as starters and not have anybody behind them. So you really have to hit the portal hard. You really have to hit the recruiting trail hard on the offensive line this year. That has to be your number one priority, because if you don't prioritize it, you're going to end up like Derek Dooley.
Yeah. Oh gosh, when he didn't even take one
No.
for a year. I mean, you just cannot do that. You can't do that. We are, according to the 24/7, 22 minutes away from the announcement on here. And once they start going live, we'll kind of turn it over to that. I'll see if I can pull it up, share the screen here, and we'll try to watch together. I think it's going to be a good day for Tennessee, but in recruiting, the only thing it is for sure is the unsure. But I agree. I agree with you on that, because I look at those guys. I mean, isn't it natural? You got to factor in that there's probably going to be some attrition.
Yeah.
You're going to have
Definitely.
graduation. I think it's natural. You'll have some guys, if they're buried, that'll leave after the season. I mean, it's just the nature now. I mean, honestly, I hate to, I'm kind of a cynic when I say this, but you got 4 high-level quarterbacks coming in. Are they all really going to, how are you going to feed them all? You know, it's, I mean, I hope we can. I hope we can keep them all around, but, you know, it's pretty impressive to me, the fact that they've got 4 of that caliber coming in. I mean, there's a long way to go in Brandon's recruitment, obviously, but yeah, we'll see where it goes. But 290 of you in here now. We're setting a new House of Orange record. Looks like the Twitter feed's going good today as well. I'm showing 250 on there, so we really over 500. This is pretty killer.
Yeah,
right
really
here.
nice.
So, yeah, see, look what it is, man. You come on here and they all follow. So there we go. But you know, I keep going through the thing, but you know, share this thing out, thumbs up.
Yep.
Sharing out the content. That's the biggest way to, if you like the content on here, share it out, man. Get people on here. As it's an everything school. This is an everything channel. Getting into football now, basketball's around the corner, baseball's not far beyond that. Lady Vols basketball, Lady Vols softball, going to take those on this year. I mean, I've said it before. I underestimated the power of the Lady Vols brand when I did my first Lady Vols video, and this channel blew up after that. It was like, what? I wish I would have been covering the coaching search that whole time, because, man, I did. They put an art. I can't remember which one it was. Put an article out when Samantha Williams, when Kim Caldwell let her go, and there were fans upset.
Yeah.
Some had asked me to do Lady Vols. I was like, all right, here we go. Man, that's I think the highest video up to this point on the channel, and it was like the subs just kept coming in. Pretty cool on it. So the Lady Vols brand is definitely a part of this channel moving forward. Hopefully we can do them justice as well. You know, super chats, super thanks, always up for that as well. There are membership tiers on the channel. My goal later on with some of those membership tiers is I would like to take some of them, depending on the membership tier, we could revisit some old topics, like what would have happened if Kiffin wouldn't have left, for example. What would have happened if Bruce Pearl had not have gotten fired? You know, just a lot of what ifs. I guess we'll go like to the Marvel universe, the what if series on it as well. But you know, there's the Patreon. Those links are in the description on the channel. But you know, make sure you subscribe as well. This is the first actual live anything to do with football. No, I don't know if I'll do post-game football shows or not, because I really kind of like to get out and go watch the games and stuff, especially that now Yeehaw's the big sponsor of Tennessee, the Yeehaw down here in Greenville. They do some pretty cool watch parties, and I've got a couple buddies down here now too that we actually meet. And somebody asked here, had a couple pretty good questions here. Do you think Heupel wins the national championship with Butch Jones? Oh gosh, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
That is a great question, man, because that not Butch's year he got fired, but the one where he had Dobbs, Kamara, that team was loaded.
Yeah.
That
Barnett too.
That was an absolute travesty to me that team won 9 games.
Yeah.
9 freaking games. And I went to the Big Orange Caravan down Kingsport that next year. And the fact that he was up there spewing all his cliches and all that stuff, man, I started to see if I can find something, a paper wad, and throw it up there or something, but not really. But it's like, how you just had that talent, you know. You let who was Florida's coach, McElwain
Yeah, Jim
at the
McElwain.
time. You
Yep.
let McElwain outcoach you, and they beat Florida that year. You went down to South Carolina, had no business losing that game, and lost it. Yeah, that is a great question, man. What could Heupel have done with Josh Dobbs?
It's endless possibilities.
Because if I look at, I mean, if I'm being honest about it, if I look at Dobbs and I look at Hendon Hooker, I think Dobbs had more talent than
Yeah,
Hooker.
me too.
I mean, the fact that he won 9 games with Joe Milton, I think, says a lot.
It
Because
says so much.
Because me on the outside looking in, I would have benched Joe Milton in the Austin Peay game last year. But it's easy for me to say sitting here at my house talking about it, and I'm not out there on the field every day either to know, what Nico's progression is or anything like that. But with that talent that they had, I mean, what Hurd quit on them, which was that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was pretty. I think that affected the team a lot more than what was published about that.
I still don't see how Hurd played over Kamara. You look at those two.
Yeah.
I mean, Hurd was good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking anything away from him, but I just think Kamara was that good.
Yeah, he was.
He was that good. Could do it all. Some of those receivers, I mean, you had Juwan. I mean, you did have Preston Williams, who left, who had high talent.
Josh Malone.
Yep. I mean, the line was decent. You had Derek Barnett.
Yep.
To me, this is one of we can sit here and say Kamara was underutilized. What about Evan Berry? He was an elite dude with the ball in his hands, and he just wasted.
He
should have been on offense.
He should have been. Offense and defense.
Yeah.
Throw him in there.
I would like to see what Heupel could have done. That is an excellent question. Rocky Top Rowdy area, South Carolina. Rocky Top Rowdy, I am pretty close to right where you're explaining, as a matter of fact. So, pretty close in between that Greenville, Easley area. So, send me a message at some point or shoot me an email on it or something. But yeah, definitely in that area. Love the Greenville area. I mean, where we're at, it's 40, 45 to Greenville. I'm beat to Asheville in an hour. I'm beat just so many. It's so cool where we're at here. Hey, there we go. V2 gained a sub. Awesome, man. Logan Hollenshed, what's up, man? Finally able to catch a live show. Yep, closing in on 2,000 subs. Great channel. Appreciate the support. Logan, good to see you in here. Mississippi Vol says, what's up, Mr. Rock? We are on the precipice of landing another big game changer. We kick off 2 weeks. It is a great time. This is a great lead up to it. We talked about it a few minutes ago. Let's see what they're saying on the channel. 14 minutes. I still don't see anything on their channel. Once they do, we'll pull it up here and watch along with it. But to me, day one starter, David Sanders. We just looked at who's coming back. I mean, there's some talent coming back. Maybe a Bennett Warren has something to say about it. Could have Bennett Warren slide inside, though. I mean, is my question. Can any of these guys play inside? And I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. Let's see, whether you like us or whether you don't, woo, go Big Orange. Channeling the ghost of Tony Robinson 2024. I like it. I hadn't seen this. Have you seen this in pictures of Grant Williams?
I have not, no.
Now, is this the school Grant Williams went to? Providence Day. I think it is it not?
Possibly. I'm not sure exactly where he went to high school at.
I'm thinking that Grant did go here. So if you factor that in, plus Grant's playing for the Hornets now, I mean, Grant may be hanging out.
Yeah, he is. I got a picture of him.
He is. Is he at the announcement?
Yeah, he's at the announcement. It's a picture of him, and it's of course, really blurry, but you can kind of see him and David Sanders in the picture.
Oh, nice.
That's from Austin Price. So,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah.
How long? It's a good question. How long after Sanders commits does he drop to a low 4-star? I'd give it till 2:00. 2:00, re-rankings will come out, and
Yeah.
David Sanders Jr. will be ranked about 237th in the country at that point. Oh Lord, brick by brick, jeez. Dobbs, Kamara, yeah, those John Kelly. You remember John Kelly?
Oh, I love that man so much.
He was a stud too. I have some fun with Clemson fans up here. They're not bad. I don't honestly mind Clemson myself. I'm not that real far from Clemson, but I mean I don't mind them. But I went to a Clemson game last year. Me and a buddy of mine went when they played Florida State, and I know it was good to be kind of. I was kind of pulling for Clemson, but if I'd have been a Clemson fan, I'd have been livid.
Yeah, that was
day.
A great game though.
John Baxter, what's up, Frank? Looking forward to covering the football. Thank you for the comment. Definitely tried hard to baseball and basketball. Grant did go to Providence. Say, okay, that's what I was thinking. That confirmed it there. Let's see. Maybe they're just. So what time's this freaking announcement going to happen then? If it's coming on at 1:15, is it going to be 1:30?
I would assume so, probably.
I see Husker fans comment, and one says he's nervous AF right now. Well, I got some advice for you, Husker fan. Don't be nervous. All right, just go ahead and concede it. He's not going to be a Cornhusker. I don't think it's happening. So, and then he'll come up here in 12 minutes and shock us.
Yeah, that'll be.
If he does, I'm just signing off. I'm not even saying anything. I'm be like, forget this. I'm done. Not really, but so Sanders Jr.'s in the equation, or I think he's going to be in the equation. Let's pull up here. I wanted to look at Tennessee's class. So if we pull that up here just a minute and where it goes, I would like to also pull up some video. Maybe we'll do that after he announces. Hopefully here. Let's pull up Tennessee's class right now. So this is according to On3 right now. I mean, you add Sanders to the equation. I don't think people's talking about this one enough right here. Douglas Utu.
No.
4-star, 4-star, 5-star, 5-star. You could potentially next year have 2 true freshman starters.
Yep.
Potentially. Now, I'm not guaranteeing it by any means. George McIntyre, of course, I'm kind of looking more at your offensive line here. I like this class, man. I really like this class, what they've done. I feel like they've been real thorough. Nick Moore, this guy out of Jefferson County, I think he's going to be, in due time, your center. I think that's where they're grooming. I mean, he's playing for Spencer Riley at Jefferson County. Spencer Riley knows a thing or two about playing center at UT. So I expect Nick Moore comes in ready. And it seems like Jefferson County's starting to produce more talent. I know Logan that's in the comments here could probably shed some light on that as well. He's down that way. Antonio Kate Ogamuro, consensus 3-star, but I mean, good build. He's got that Polynesian background. I like those guys. They seem to be. We've had pretty good luck with those Polynesian guys with the Polynesian background. So there's your 3 in the fold now, and then of course we're just waiting here in a few minutes for the big one to me. That really I think puts the icing on the cake for this class.
Yeah.
Is there any more that you think Tennessee will? Is there any other names you're hearing? I know there's Conan Banning.
Yeah.
But I just kind of wonder where they would go after that, because right now they have 21 commits. Sanders will make 22. Conan Banning will make 23. Is there any position you think they still need more at?
If they land Conan Banning, you don't necessarily need more secondary help. Tight end's good. If you could I don't know, possibly the running back position, just some depth pieces, maybe like a 3-star in there. Wide receiver's good. Linebacker wouldn't hurt. You're losing Pilly, and you don't really know what the future of that's going to look like. So hopefully you can land Harmon, like Baxter said.
Yeah.
That'd be really nice to land him.
Yeah, that's one I've seen that. John Baxter says Harmon, the linebacker committed to Bama, is one to keep an eye on. I've seen some stuff on some of the Tennessee boards about Tennessee's trying here. I mean, the two guys I see the most is Harmon and Dwayne Morris, what you talked about earlier, who's committed to Southern Cal, who's an in-state guy, who is, I guess he's actually a running back. I think he's listed as an athlete, depending on where you see it. But that's kind of a couple. And, with basically about 4 months till early signing day, more names may appear before then as well. I mean, it is totally possible that more names do pop up during that time. And I'm with you. I think tight end, they've done great. I like the receivers coming back. I mean, if I look at the receivers coming back here as well, let's just kind of go through the positions here. I still don't. 6 minutes. I'm guessing this starts in 6 minutes on here, so we'll pull it up and watch it then. But look at their roster, just looking on UT Sports. So if we go through the positions, they really do not lose anybody defensive back wise. I mean, if you go down through here, it's all redshirt juniors, sophomores. There's some freshmen in with Farouk, Boo Carter, Jordan Matthews, Caleb Beasley, Marcus Gorey. There's a ton of talent in the secondary, and it's like anything else. I think you've got to expect there's going to be attrition, but
there will be.
I mean, here's your defensive line: Elijah Simmons. There's a senior, Bryson Eason, Omari Thomas. I'm really kind of surprised Omari Thomas stayed the whole time. I thought he would have left early, but hats off to him. Norman Lott will be gone. Dominic Bailey gone. That's a guy that's kind of flown. I really feel like he's flown under the radar.
Yeah.
So he's just been a solid guy. Starts, does his job, it seemed like. Where's James Pierce Jr.? I mean, we've got to think James Pierce Jr. gone.
He's gone, yeah.
I mean, I think honestly, we need him to be. And that may not make any sense out there. It's not that I want him gone. It's that this is still a big selling point. This is a big selling point, excuse me, for David Sanders Jr. today. It's the fact that 2 years ago, Darnell Wright was a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Tennessee's got to have these guys going pro. That's what you need with James Pierce Jr. He's projected top 10. We really need that to happen to continue to get these guys. Ultimately, these guys still want to go to the NFL, whether there's NIL or not. They're ultimately going to make more money in the NFL with it. Looking at, went through the line. You're losing the linebacker. You mentioned earlier, Keenan Pili. You've got to replace him. Other than that, everybody's back, but I think you still need more. I mean, this dude's a walk-on, come from Wofford. I don't know much about him, but your long snappers, they normally bring somebody. We talked about the line earlier. I mean, you lose Mays, you lose Spraggins, you lose Dane Davis. You're going to lose Jackson Lampley. You're going to lose Carrick. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. The important question this year is who takes over on extra points as the guy to get carried off the field? Who's the leading candidate this year? Parker Ball's gone. He's a grad assistant now. Jackson Lampley may start, so we can't have him getting injured on him.
No. Dane Davis, of course, because he's great at that. Let's see. I think it'd be just some random guy. Some guy you wouldn't expect. Some backup.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In that bowl game, when Tennessee scored first and the lineman was down, and that announcer took it hook line, he's like, oh, gosh, that's bad. You hate to see that. Yeah. And I was just sitting there laughing. Let's see. We got some video going here. Hopefully I can get some of this And we're right at 350 people on here right now. Hope you'll stay with us on this as we're getting ready to. Can you see that pretty good
Yes.
on your side?
Yeah, pretty good.
I remember him in the FEU freshman
Can you
All-American
hear that?
game. He was one of those kids
Yes,
where it's
sir.
like, is
All
this?
right.
He was our first 5-star prospect in the 2025
All right, so we'll
cycle.
kind of let them take it away here. The announcement is scheduled for 3 minutes from now. Hopefully Tennessee's about to get good news. There's some good questions on here I'll come back to. What about the scholarship reductions? I'm really kind of confused on the scholarship reductions, to be honest with you. I'm still not fully understand. All right, let me turn it over and let them talk here a little bit, and we'll talk here in a bit. So.
Well, you said it. He's the Gatorade Player of the Year there in North Carolina. What's funny, David Sanders got snaps on both sides of the ball. He had 32 quarterback pressures, 9 sacks. And I think if he just billed himself as an edge rusher, we would rank him in the top 247. He is that athletic. I think when we look at him as an offensive line prospect, it's his ability to react and recover, right? He can extend the arc with his length, but his ability, once he's beat, to self-correct and then push that wall back out, it's what you want. He kind of reminds me of Charles Cross, a former 5-star prospect for us that went to Mississippi State, was selected in the first round, and is now with the Seattle Seahawks. So he's going to be a big get for someone. I think what's also notable here, since 24/7 Sports started ranking players back in 2012, there's been 47 offensive tackles, 5-star offensive tackles. Only 23 schools have signed him. Tennessee's got 2 in the past. Darnell Wright, Trey Smith, both those guys started a ton of games for the Volunteers, and both are now doing things in the NFL.
I want to go back to the fact that you said he played on both sides of the ball here, which I thought was interesting from your notes, because it wasn't that he was just kind of getting snaps. I mean, 32 hurries, 24 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 PBUs, very active on either side. He's also a multi-sport athlete, very successful in track and field as well. When you are looking at a guy who you want on your offensive line, how do those other assets, making him so versatile, how does that sort of play into where he's ranked and how successful he's been up to this point?
Well, the more we've studied the NFL draft, right, every year, the guys that are getting selected early on, it's not the big, huge freshmen and sophomores in high school. It's kind of the late bloomers, and you want them long and lean at an early age. And you also want them doing a variety of different things. That multi-sport component is
So he's talking about, I think this is interesting, depending on where you see it ranked. I've seen him listed from 6'6", 270 to 290. What do you think's his ideal weight that helps him maintain his flexibility and his athleticism?
Of course, put on a few pounds. I would say you kind of see that in the system. Put on a few pounds. I like anywhere around the 310 range, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good. I think it helps maintain, and we'll look at some of the video. I'm sure they'll show some stuff on here as well. His athleticism, when I've watched it though, is there's a reason they have him ranked as high as he does, the way he moves and stuff. He really looked to me like a big tight end out moving around, to be honest with you.
Tackle, and you think about being in the SEC, being in the Big Ten, everyone is coveting these twitched up pass rushers, and you need guys that can neutralize them. We think David Sanders can do that on Saturdays.
Yeah, it's just so interesting to think about swimming, track, football. I mean, it's incredible when you think about the versatility here. Andrew, before I let you go, the crystal ball 100% says Tennessee. We talked about that. If there was a chance for him to flip, who would it be for and why?
I think you got to keep an eye on Nebraska, and I'm going to defer here to Tom Loy, our director of recruiting. He's done an excellent job. He actually was at David Sanders' game there on Friday night, the first one of his 12th grade campaign. I think Matt Rule is quietly doing a really good job there in Lincoln. Last cycle they flipped 5-star quarterback Dylan Raiola from Georgia. He becomes the highest ranked quarterback signee ever for the Cornhuskers. And guess what? When David Sanders took a surprise trip to Lincoln, it was Dylan Raiola that was showing him around town. So we'll see. The read I've always got on David Sanders, he's all about business. I think once he makes his decision, he's going to be locked in, right? I don't think there's going to be any secondary recruitment. I think he's going to.
Oh, here we go. I had the wrong one. So Shit. All right, so that's, you see him on here now?
Freshman year, on visits every weekend. So,
is that, you see Sanders on here now?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought something was off on that.
You dropped the website this week, the personal brand. A great logo, might I add. I love the DSJ. But can you tell everybody a little bit about it? What kind of went in the background of it, and what your mission is behind it?
Yes, sir. So that was kind of like a project me and my family started over the summer. So that's definitely something I wanted to have going into college. Building my brand. So I really like the logo, and after I commit, the colors of the school I commit to will be on our website.
I love that. So we are down to 4 finalists. We got Georgia, Nebraska, Ohio State, Tennessee. Let's do a quick breakdown of the 4 finalists. We'll start with Georgia. What has the Bulldogs in play?
Definitely just their obvious, they're number one each and every year. They send top tackles to the league, and they have great coaches, Coach Smart and Coach Searles. They have done a phenomenal job just recruiting me throughout high school and just letting me know that I'm a priority for their program.
You went up to Nebraska, and there was a ton of fans waiting for you when you got up there. Tell me a little bit about the relationship you have with the staff and why the Huskers are in play.
Definitely. Their coaching staff did an amazing job. They were a little
Can you hear it pretty well, Kerry?
In my opinion, but
yeah.
Rayola did a phenomenal job just getting me on campus and showing me like a great time. So Coach Rule is a phenomenal head coach, and I think they're going to have a great future ahead of them.
Ohio State's been a top contender for a very long time. Ryan Day, Justin Fry, all those guys have done a great job with your process. What has the Buckeyes in the mix?
Ohio State, they're another school that's just known for developing great offensive tackles at the next level and sending them off to the NFL. They have a great recruiting staff as well. Their entire team they have is really good, and their recruiting class they have right now is number 1. So being a part of that would be something special.
Last but certainly not least, the Tennessee Volunteers. I know you enjoyed your time up there on multiple visits. You've been up there. Tell me a little bit about the relationship with Josh Heupel and his staff.
Tennessee has done a phenomenal job recruiting me as well throughout high school, just showing me that I'm a priority for their program. Coach Hype has a phenomenal grip on his program, and just they're going to do good things in the future as well.
All right, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we are all going to find out where David Sanders Jr. is headed. Stay live for another 2 minutes.
All right, so why not? We've been on here over an hour. We might as well. What's a few more minutes at this point,
Yeah.
So they were talking about it on the other one when I started questioning if that was the right one or not. Do you think he takes more visits, or do you think he's done once he announces?
If it was me personally, I'd take more visits just because, just the experiences, make some memories. They may not affect your decision, but I think it's always nice just to take a few visits, visit a few different places, get to see some great games. So a lot of times kids do that, and it doesn't really affect their choices unless something major happens. They just do it just to kind of get out of town, get their name out, get some more followers, increase their brand.
With as many visits as he's taken, I feel they've been really thorough. They've done their due diligence. I mean, is there do you think much reason for him to take more visits, though?
No, not really.
That's my hope is if he does finish it off, commit to Tennessee, that he doesn't take any more visits. Unless it's to Knoxville to recruit others, because you still got, you've got those big potential visit weekends like Florida and Alabama. It's going to be weird to me this year, though, because in the past, now with these summer visits coming up, it's kind of changed the game some. But used to, that was big visit weekends. I just wonder if they'll use that more for, maybe a couple guys are trying to get in the fold late. But I wonder if they'll use it more for 2026 now, trying to get 2026 guys in, 2027 guys, and kind of get them to see that experience, because I really feel like the calendar's kind of changed. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. You kind of got all the guys you want, maybe add another 2 guys on a visit list, but really looking for the future. You're trying to build a program here. You're not trying to be one and done.
Yeah, I think so. I felt this whole time that's all right. Hang on. What we got here?
tackle. Please tell everybody where you're
Go.
headed to continue your academic and athletic career.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you taking the time out of your day to come support. First of all, I would like to thank God. Without him, none of this would have been possible. Next, I would like to thank Providence Day. Thank you for allowing me to come into your such prestigious institution. Throughout my time here, I have grown socially, mentally, and physically. This will always be my home, and I am the charger for life. Next, you have treated me as family ever since I came to PD as a little 8th grade. And I'll forever hold those in my heart. Next, I would like to thank my coaches. Thank you for having so much faith in me to lead your program. It has been nothing short of a blessing to play for such a dedicated, passionate, and loving coach such as yourself. Next, I would like to thank my former offensive line coach, Coach Goody. Thank you for your time and wisdom in the game. You're one of the key reasons I fell in love with playing on the offensive line. Coach Gathers, thank you. Even though I was primarily an offensive player, you helped develop me into a stellar defensive end as well. You also helped me understand when to take a break when I was. I also want to give a shout out to Coach Sarepka, Coach Davis, and the plethora coaching staff. Next, I would like to give a shout out to my football family. From my former teammates to my current year, you guys are like my brothers. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you feel that on a daily. I will miss break and lunch days, and I will surely miss locker room and group chat talks. We are off to a great 1-0 start, so let's continue the success and have an undefeated season. I want to also give a shout out to two of my best friends on the team, Miles and Leah. Y'all my boys, man, and we have built a great relationship over these couple of years, and I'm gonna be root for y'all when I leave in December.
Take your time. You good? Take your time.
And now to my family, to my grandmother, I call her Granny. I love you so much, pretty much like a second mom to me. Your endless love and care will never go unnoticed, and your consistent support for me. I know you don't even know much about football at all, but you just want to see me happy, and that's all that matters to you. And
Oh, come on.
my grandfather, pal. There is so much to say, I don't even know where to start. You have been a role model in my life since I remember when I was a little kid, you always used to tell me one man can make a difference. And I try to live by that each and every day. Watching you cut grass for your entire block and not asking for a penny from anyone really showed me what it means to be dedicated to the change you want to see. It's not always perfect, but you just got to control what you can control. And I love you so much. And I will continue to look you every day.
I wish he'd announced I'm afraid of losing this stream.
To my youngest sister, Sky. Your family, think you're my mom. And I want you to know, brother, I'm extremely proud of you. I love you so much. And you're going to be a special little girl. Just keep that smile on your face. And to my other sister, Ace the Base, I love you so much. On the entire planet. You would never hurt a soul. Thank you for always checking on brother and mate. You are the smartest girl in the whole entire world, and I will always keep that smile on your face. Brother loves you. And to my oldest of the youngest sisters, Layla. Lay, I love you so much. Prettiest girl in the whole world. I am so proud of you and your accomplishments. Sports. It has been an amazing experience just watching you grow up. You should be proud of yourself because I am surely proud of you. And I'm proud to be your big brother. As long as you're good, I'm good. You know who you are, and you know you are my rock. Be happy and set your boundaries. If you ever need anything, I hope you know by now you can always look to me and talk. Overall, I hope I did my job as your big brother. Your love, and most importantly, your role model. I love you so much. You know I will miss you, but you can always come and visit me. Let me tell my parents. I've been waiting for this speech my entire
Guys, I
life.
apologize for this. It's,
My dad is not only my dad, but he's my.
I don't know if it's on my end or if it's on the actual screen.
This has been an amazing 18 years, and I wouldn't trade it for giving up your dreams to be in my life. I couldn't name one single event that you haven't. You know your job is an understatement. I watched you. I watched. A friend and a father. You put yourself before. You put your family before yourself. Sometimes I worry about you, but you never fail to make excuses. You just make it happen, and for that, I'm thankful for you. I will miss beating you at any backyard activity, and also in the video game. Get to hear you cheer from the stands at the next level, and I hope I've made you proud this far. I promise you I will continue for installing a work ethic in me and never settle for just enough. I will always strive to be the best. Mindset from you and what you have taught me. I love you so much, and I'll miss you a lot. And please, the girls. Tell my mama. Come on. You're the best mom anyone can ask for. Your love of my life. Love your family is unconditional, and you would do more for us than you even have left in your tank. It's been the backbone of our family, has definitely not went unnoticed. I see the sacrifices you have made and to have a stress-free life. You never point a finger at anyone else to do anything for you. Best mom you can be. You have done an extremely great job. Appreciate you. Missing you is an understatement because you're my best friend, my mom. You're there when I need to talk, need to cry, or just need a good laugh. You know what I need, whether it's good or bad. You raised a great young man, and I know you're proud of me. And I'm just seeing the joy in your face each and every day fuels me to continue to strive and be the best son and human I can. Put pressure on me for anything, and I know I will be okay. This road broke in my life. I love you so much, and I can't wait for the future.
All right, come on now.
Here you go.
To the school I will be committed to. I just want to let you know you're getting a strong, hardworking individual for each and every day. I will be ready to lead from day one, and this has been a dream of my football. So for that, I will always put my all into it. I cannot wait to get on campus and most importantly, host that national championship trophy.
Yes, sir.
For the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be committed to the University of Tennessee.
There we go.
He looks so good in orange.
Yeah, he does. He does. I like it. He's gonna be. They were that one video we were watching. They were talking about him flipping. I hope after all that, there's no flipping.
Huge win for head coach Josh.
The whole family's got on orange, so looks pretty promising.
Mom's got her Tennessee bag.
Yep.
Well, his mom and dad don't even look. They don't look that much older than him.
No.
Granny's
genes.
got her stuff. Grandpa's got his orange and white.
David, I gotta ask, what tipped the scales for the Volunteers?
The Volunteers, they've been on top for a very long time. Coach Heupel and that coaching staff, they've done an amazing job for me and my family. And just having that support and showing that love from the beginning of the recruitment process to now, they just deserve to be a player.
Everybody here clearly knows person, but for Vol Nation out there, what are they getting in David Sanders Jr.?
They're getting a hard lead from day one. I'm a hard worker, and I'm just ready to go lead that team.
George McIntyre, the rest of the commit list, recruiting you hard. You now get to go from recruit to recruiter.
Yes, sir. I'm excited. I've been ready to recruit for a very long time, so we're ready to get whoever they need me to go get.
Once again, five-star offensive tackle David Sanders Jr. is committed to Tennessee.
All right, let's go.
CBS Sports HQ and 24/7 Sports.
Man, what an emotional roller coaster we just went on there. But it is official. Sanders is headed to the University of Tennessee.
They showing
For
highlights
more
of him
on
here.
events like this, recruiting, commitments, the transfer portal. Make sure you're locked in at 247sports.com. Coming up after the break, we are checking in with one.
I'll keep it on here and look at it. That leads me right there. There was no issues with that one, so I believe that. I was afraid it was my stream because I was sitting here cringing because I please don't lose it at the last minute. Well, he's in the fold. What's your reaction? What do you think?
It's awesome. You had to have him. He's huge. He's a counterpiece for the future of this program. He'll be your starting right tackle next year. There's probably like a 95% chance that happens. He's your guy. You wanted him, and you got him. Josh Heupel's now proven that he can essentially get any player that he wants. If the player fits into his scheme, he's going to go out there and he's going to get them, and he's going to come to Rocky Top.
Yeah. They're I mean, there's not much more than that. I mean, really, that's your guy. They're number one. I'm trying to find some highlights here. So let's look. This is one from Rivals right here. There's a couple different streams. Here's him at. All right, let me present this. We'll look at some. All right, so here, let's start this one over. Right here, let me kind of pull this one up. As you can see, he's out here. That is not him running the ball, by the way. But
wow.
Yeah, that's him on defense.
Yeah.
Here as well. So we saw he's number 70. There he is on defense again. Moves pretty good. I mean, he was wreaking havoc.
That's prom high school football right there.
I mean, this is a dude that I expect him day one starter. I really do. I'm with you on that one. I think with just I think based on his rank, I think based on who you're losing, I will be shocked if he's not a day one starter in Knoxville. Now, you may see it where he's not, the first week of camp, they come out and he's not your first guy to take snaps at. What position you think he starts out at?
Definitely right tackle.
Yeah.
You'll still have Hurd at left. So he may get some reps at left tackle, but for sure, right tackle.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. Right tackle, Hurd's left tackle. And I think that first freshman offensive line starter since Munoz. No, we've had Darnell Wright and Wanye Morris started or Pruitt, didn't they? Weren't they true freshmen? Butch Jones. I'm trying to think if anybody started under Butch. I don't think Heupel's had any. I know Wanye Morris and Darnell Wright were starters as true freshmen. I know under Dooley you had Jawan James, Zach Fulton, and James Stone starting. Definitely Stone because he played Tiny Richardson. I forgot about old Tiny Richardson. I can't remember if he started as a freshman or not. I mean, Trey Smith. Trey Smith was a starter as a freshman. So yeah, there's been a bit of them along the way. Not a ton. Tiny Richardson did. Was that under Jones when Tiny Richardson was there?
No, I think it was before Jones.
Was it Jones? Was he Dooley?
I think it was Dooley. I'm pretty sure he was
okay.
Dooley.
Okay. So, I mean, this is a big recruit. This is a monumental recruit. Let's see if they've updated. Let me see what Ryan Callahan has to say. Here, just a minute. Let me share that up here. Ryan Callahan's pretty good with his info.
He's now the best prospect in the class of 2025 for Tennessee, so obviously a big get. I talked to Andrew Ivins about this earlier as well, because you can never have enough solid, healthy linemen on your roster. He obviously checks the boxes when it comes to size and strength, versatility, but when you watch his skill set, how do you think it will translate from the high school ranks into the college football world?
Yeah, he's a lean offensive tackle, so people might look at him being 290 pounds right now and say, well, he's got to gain some weight before he's really going to be ready to play. But I think he won't have any trouble with that. He's already put on quite a bit of weight over the past year to year and a half. Played through a shoulder injury last year that kept him from building on that strength, and still up to 290 this offseason, which is a big jump from where he was about a year and a half ago. So he's going to be, I think, the guy that's got a chance to be a day one starter, or certainly a day one contender for immediate playing time. And that's it's hard to find those guys. The offensive line is such a developmental position, but he's so quick, so athletic, has such a long frame, and so strong for a guy his age that I think it's going to be hard for Tennessee to keep him off the field, frankly, just because of the stature of this kind of player and just how hard it is to get a player like this that has that kind of potential.
He was getting pass rushing reps this past season. He's a former swimmer. He throws the discus and the shot put. So clearly a lot of versatility there playing in. I want to go back and talk about Tennessee as a whole here, because you alluded to it, right? They are really focusing on building up the class of the future here. And I want to turn our attention to this full screen we have on the screen here. When it comes to Tennessee's current recruiting ranks, prior to this commitment, they were 8th. Adding in this guy, and now they jump up to 6th in terms of the overall recruiting class for the class of 2025. Of course, they get David Sanders there as the top recruit in their class. But what excites you about what Tennessee is doing for the future, and how does Josh Heupel keep getting away with this?
Yeah, I think, first of all, the quarterback wins are one thing. Obviously, Josh Heupel's got a heck of a track record at the quarterback position, from guys like Dylan Gabriel and Mackenzie Milton at UCF to Drew Lock at Missouri. He's had good quarterbacks everywhere he's been. But to see Tennessee winning these kinds of battles at other positions now, this, again, I think sends a message about what Tennessee is capable of doing on the recruiting trail. And that's the thing, the depth of this class now. Tennessee now has 8 players ranked in the top 150 nationally in 24/7 Sports rankings. So David Sanders, certainly the headliner of that class, but far from the only elite player that they beating out some really good competition.
All right. That's good to hear again. Tennessee with 8 guys in the top 50, or top 150, 24/7. There was a point in time that was not happening. And if you're going to get up there and you're going to compete with the Georgias, the Alabamas, and these teams, the Ohio States along the way, these are the type of guys you've got to win. You've got to go win big boy battles. They just did it. They just flat out recruited everybody. I don't know we'll ever learn on NIL what all was offered or what have you, but my guess is it's probably not the most. Who you think if probably was offering the most, if you had to guess on it? And it's a total guess on our parts. But.
I would say Ohio State, Georgia probably. They're not slinging out as much money, just simply because they got to spread it so much. They have so many top tier recruits that they got to manage their money really well. In Ohio State, they just got tons of funds coming in there, and they've proved in the past that they can pay recruits. So probably Ohio State, I would say, was offering the most.
I wonder if it's not Nebraska, because they got, to get Raiola, they paid him some pretty good money.
Yeah.
Now, I think was he a legacy possibly? Or he had some connection to Nebraska.
Yeah, he had some connection there.
But I think there were some different ones in there. as well. Bob Franklin says, no outlawisms today. That kid softened the bitterest of moods. Love it. He's all Vol. Go Big Orange. Yeah, that's a big one, man. If I'm not mistaken, somebody mentioned Michael Munoz earlier up here. Let me go back up to that. There was Tiny Richardson. There's been some big time offensive linemen come through. I mean, Trey Smith, was it ESPN had Trey Smith ranked number 1 overall?
Yeah,
Possibly. So if you want to factor that one in, that Trey Smith is the highest offensive line recruit in the program's history. But this one, though, I think as far as a consensus around, he ranks anywhere from 2nd to 6th overall in the main 4 that they acknowledge. So this is the kind of guys, man, that if you're going to win championships, that you've got to have in Knoxville. And Key, what about Glenn Ellerby? Is that guy getting the credit he's deserved recently?
No, he's not. That's a guy that you saw get a lot of hate in the past few years of like, hey, he's just not getting the job done. You're not seeing progression in games. You're not seeing recruits coming in. And then now all of a sudden you got Utu, and you just landed the highest ranked offensive lineman of the Josh Heupel career at Tennessee. So that's saying a lot about what Ellerby's doing.
I think so too. I thought he had a good class last year. They got hurt out of the portal. I think they've continued to build. I think it seems to me like most of these guys on staff, they've had that year where it's like, what's this dude doing? Yeah. And then, like was Abelin, is that he's the tight ends coach?
Yeah. Alex
you look at it, he was under he was a little scrutiny last year. Well, look what he's done this year. Look what he's already got going for next year as well. Okay. Harmon said it was their stream. All right. I was sitting here, man. I was like, please don't let this thing right when he gets up.
Yeah, you were pretty stressed.
Yeah, especially he keeps on. I just want to think. I mean, hey, it's his moment. It's his moment. God bless him, man. He's earned it.
Yes,
he's earned that moment. When you're streaming it and it's doing that, though, it's like, come on, man. But great. It seems like a good family guy. Seems like he's raised right.
Yes,
that culture in Knoxville and what they're putting together, it's just huge. It's huge. Bender of strings. He spells it out. Huge, get huge. Yeah, you're going to have a David Sanders Jr. I love the Douglas Utu pickup out of Las Vegas. I like this class. I like what they've done with it. We talked earlier. I think they could withstand to add a little bit more as far as running back and linebacker. But other than that, I mean, what they're doing to win big boy games, you got to have lines. You got to have offensive and defensive line. I don't know that on the current offensive line. Maybe Hurd. I don't know if there's a guy that has David Sanders Jr. on the current line on it. I think it's a whole other world that he's bringing to this. We'll hit a couple things, and then we at 1:45, and then we'll get out here. God, we've been on here for an hour and 34. We beat that last Monday. So hype on the coaches do deserve so much, especially when you consider what the program looked like when they started. I mean, how many transfers was it when Pruitt left? Wasn't it 30-some transfers?
Yeah, it was. We had like 40 or 50 players just a part of the team left.
Yeah.
So.
And the fact he got them in a bowl in year 1, year 2, I mean, they won 11 games. Last year, they took a step back. I mean, it was expected. I don't think it was a huge surprise last year. And then, the expectation, I mean, you and I both Monday night picked 11-1 and then the playoffs on it. I mean, I think the floor is 9-3 where we're like, depending on who the 9-3 is.
Yeah.
Top 5 class. Let's see. They said on 24/7 he's up to 6th, or they're up to 6th. So yeah,
that's close enough. I'll count it.
Yeah, I'll count it too. So I would guess they will now have a top 10 class at year's end. Not sure about top. Yeah, I would agree. I think top 10, and I think it'll be a really good class as well. I think what they've put together, definitely their best class up to this point. But before we get out here, you got any final thoughts?
Just a great day. I mean, there's the only thing on the agenda today was land David Sanders Jr. You had to get it done. You got it done. You're seeing this coaching staff take steps. Personally, I'd have been really, really concerned about this offensive line in the future. They didn't land David Sanders Jr. today. So I'm feeling a lot better about the future of the offensive line. That's a position group that you have to have. You can get away with not having depth at other places, but if you want to be a good football team, you got to have offensive line. It's probably the most key position to do that. They did that today. Shout out Josh Heupel. Shout out Glenn Ellery. They got the job done. 1-0 on the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll be back Monday night, 7 o'clock. We know we're talking some depth chart. I'm sure we'll talk some David Sanders Jr. I'm sure there'll be more news come out of it. Anything else comes up along the way, we'll do it. If you like the hard drinks, Vol Lager, that'd probably make a good one to crack open right now. I see the old mead drinker here. He's probably having him a mead right now. I don't blame him. Meads are pretty good as well. Moonshine, he's probably having him a snort from the hollers right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if there's much more. Great day to be a Tennessee Volunteer. This is the type of guys that are getting this program to where it wants to go. We're going to get out of here. He's Kerry. I'm Frank. We're getting out of here. We'll see you Monday night, 7 o'clock. And last, definitely not least, go Vols.